What is?
I can't figure out how to pop the stream out. Okay. It's popping out all three of us. My screen.
Hunter and that screen?
Well, my screen, your screen supposedly, and then another Leander's that is the real stream. They're all three on Discord when you click on it. You can't just watch.
I guess that's if I got a webcam going or something. That's weird.
He's never done that before, so I don't know what it is.
I think there's a thing where you click it and it'll separate them out like that. And then there's one that just shows one video.
Yeah, I just want to show the one video. What's up with that?
We should be able to get back to it. Just take some finesse. I'm listening to some music. I'm like, I don't know if this is the one to open up with.
You usually love it.
Yeah, for gaming, but this is gaming podcast. Kind of want more like some beat vibes, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm saying you usually love what they give you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did click chip tune, so that's probably my fault.
Oh, hide members. It's very simple.
Oh, it was a simple fix?
Mm-hmm.
Usually is. Hey, I tell you what, they fixed my sharing to Delirious Dads Gaming finally.
Really?
Yep. I put episode 103. I think that's what we're on. We've done so many, it's hard to remember. Man, this is like Sonic the Hedgehog music right here. Better watch out, son.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Mm-hmm. Might get dangerous up in her. Okay, you let me know when you're ready and we'll get started.
Oh, I'm good. I'm ready.
Okay.
Tell me when to share it on Facebook.
I'll go ahead and share. We're live. We've been live.
Okay. I was thinking that was just on Discord.
Nope.
Sorry.
We're live everywhere, all over the place. I'll go ahead and start the old highlight video though.
All right.
It'd be hilarious if that door slammed shut and it just went up to a 10. We're like, what?
Oh, 10.
There it goes.
Oh, she got me.
the deal.
She got me.
No,
She's on me.
no, I got the deal.
We're Delirious Dads Gaming.
So are you going to be a gamer that's a dad, or are you going to be a dad that's a gamer?
Go check out the Delirious Dads Gaming Podcast, available today on your favorite podcast platforms and at the website deliriousdadsgaming.com. The Delirious Dads Gaming Podcast is a gaming podcast geared towards dads who are gaming enthusiasts. They don't take themselves so serious that they can't have fun. They include fun, joking banter that keeps the content both entertaining and relaxing. They bring gaming news.
The Halo Infinite teaser seems like it's marking the return of the Banished.
Dr. Disrespect, so Twitch has permanently banned him and nobody knows why.
Game reviews.
Crackdown 3, worst reviewed game of this century.
Tips and tricks. And gaming quizzes with a dad perspective in mind. If you're a gamer, but life keeps you too busy to keep up, they have your back. Check it out today on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Twitch, YouTube, and more. That's the Delirious Dads Gaming Podcast. You can also find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search Delirious Dads Gaming. Delirious Dads Gaming Podcast at deliriousdadsgaming.com. Go check it out now.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Click Gaming, a freelance esports tournament company based out of Oklahoma. If you're located in the U.S. and need esports services, this is the ultimate gaming company for you. Contact Johnny Weaver at icychiller@att.net. That's ICYCHILLER. On this episode of the Delirious Dads Gaming Podcast.
Shadows and Lands.
It's all about that retro life, baby.
And now, the Delirious Dads Gaming Podcast.
And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, buenos dias. It's the Delirious Dads Gaming Podcast, episode 103.
That's a lot of episodes.
That is. A lot of Mountain Dew consumed right before that little comment as well. Welcome, guys. I'm Clinton Stanley, and I'm here with...
Ryan Maddox.
Yes, with Matt Dog. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing real good.
Good, good. Tonight we're not going to have Hunter. He's got some stuff going on at home that he's got to deal with, so we wish him the best, and he should be back on next week to cover some more news, especially a game we've been playing. We're just going to throw it out there. We're playing Valheim or Valheim. Not sure how to.
Which is it?
I don't know. I think it's Valheim.
I'm going to go Valheim just because you're going Valheim.
I'm not 100% sure, but wonderful game.
It is.
Indeed. Yeah,
I've enjoyed it so far.
But we're not going to get into the details because we want Hunter to be on with us to just go into that wonderful low graphics goodness that is Valheim.
I don't know if you can call it low graphics. It has a specific older graphics style.
It's got a classic
new
graphic style.
With new graphic depth.
Yes, there you go. It has some lighting that really helps freshen up some of those rough spots.
Yeah, and backgrounds and the way the lighting is, but we're done. We're not going to talk about it anymore.
That's it. I'm tempted. I want to, but I'm not. Okay? Just make sure next week you bring your axes, your pickaxes, your hose. And I'm talking about
if you
the
want to
tools,
join us
guys.
on our server when we play, let us know.
Yep. Delirion, check it out. Let us know. Okay. I threw it out there. All right, guys. Well, tonight we're doing something a little bit different. If you're not a Blizzard fan, then this is not going to be the podcast episode for you. So consider this another week off for you.
But you may be such a DDG fan that you just want to hear us talk about anything. Yeah. And if that's the case, this is the episode for you.
Yeah, and we're going to make it fun. Ryan's going to throw in some oblivious, like, I don't know this stuff necessarily. Yeah. Like, I know bits and pieces, but here's what
I'm
I
even
got.
going to act like I do know and just,
swing it.
Yeah.
That works for me. I've watched some of this stuff already, so not going to be any big shockers for me, but we are going to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what they presented and kind of discuss what we think as a whole of the BlizzCon. Now, we can't cover the whole thing because it's a 2-day event. There's a lot of stuff that went down, so we won't be watching like the costume contests. Sorry, Ryan. I know you're looking forward to that.
I was.
So tonight we're primarily going to be focusing on the opening ceremony and just reviewing some of their announcements. And then we're going to look at a behind the scenes of Overwatch 2, which they've been kind of tight-lipped about and finally opened up a little bit at the Blizzconline. So let's switch on over to that right now. So I'm going to try to get this to where it's not too loud. So you guys just in stream, let me know what you think. It's kind of hard to title out. So we're going to skip past some of this, yada, yada, yada.
Thank you, Blizzard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too quiet.
These games and pour all of our energy
There you go.
and heart into them.
Right there.
But it is you, the Blizzard.
Well, right now it matters how quiet you want it to be. It's pretty quiet, but it's
That's why
hearable.
BlizzConline is
Okay.
a celebration of you, the guild leaders, healers,
For some reason, it's kind of
DPS,
quiet in general.
tanks, innkeepers, Zerg,
Would you agree?
Terran,
Mhm.
Protoss, Blackwatch, Shimada, the heroes of Sanctuary
That's a cool
and
outfit.
of the Storm. These next few days are for you, our Blizzard community.
Okay, so this is the lead
World of
president
Warcraft.
J. Allen Brack or
We'll
Brock.
be showing you what's next for both Shadowlands and Classic. I'm sure you're all burning in anticipation for that one.
That's a hint, Ryan.
Hearthstone is
Mhm.
getting back to its roots in a major way. We can't wait to show you how.
Yeah, I feel like I need
We
a
also
little
have
bit of a
news
bump in
for
sound.
our Diablo community.
Yeah, I don't know why it went all
Some of
quiet.
you were
I'm not
able
really.
to dip your toes into the depths of hell in the
Hold on,
Diablo.
Oh, you don't have it turned down?
Maybe it's turned down on my computer. Now you can hear that good, can't you?
Not like I would on my computer.
I
Was it
wonder-
still loud to you?
Well, no, it's definitely not as loud as it was. So let's see, guys. We're going to switch back to the live screen here as we have some technical issues.
I'm only saying it because I'm concerned it's not recording
Well,
good
yeah.
enough for the. Yeah.
No, I agree. It's not very loud, or not as loud as it could be. That's better.
More of what we're doing and
Yeah.
why.
That's better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Might just be this video's real quiet.
maybe I wonder why they did it so quiet. Maybe if we refresh it,
Anticipation for that one.
is that any better?
Hearthstone is getting back
No.
to its roots in
I think it's just him.
way. We can't wait to show you how.
Let's see. We're gonna. Can you hear that? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear it. It's just not loud at all.
Carry forward with it.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't have any bass to it. That's weird. Sorry, guys. Well, let me see if I can find a better version. Which is weird because that's the... I mean, that's their official...
But you watched this video before on your computer and it was loud, wasn't it? I think
Yeah.
it's something with Parsec.
I thought it was, but the other one's playing fine, so... I don't know.
Forward with us. Games are here for
Any
us
better?
during good times.
Mm-mm.
And they're here for us even when we feel alone or maybe uncertain. Games are coming home.
Shut up, Jay. We're trying to fix this. Jay. Mother effing Jay. You can hear that, can't you? Jeez.
Yeah, it's a little louder, but it's not super loud. It's good though.
Yeah, but this is last year's. They just named it the wrong thing. Huh.
Oh well.
Okay, well. Guess we're stuck with what we got. Let's see what this...
I can turn my volume up
That the last year
and hear it more.
Yeah, it's just their video. They just didn't do a very good job there.
doesn't stop us from moving forward. It doesn't.
That's all it was. Because I just clicked on a different
Anticipation
live
for
stream that's from their same deal. And it's just that particular video. They didn't get the sound right for the opening, which is stupid. All right, let's try this again, guys. Sorry. Sorry for the confusion. We thought we could fix it, but it's not on our end. All right. Let's try this again. Ryan, are you ready for Blizzconline?
I am.
All right. Two's a
just for a little
charm.
while. So, this is pretty weird. Usually,
We're going to skip past this.
unite us.
This is where he gives his speech
Your
of
way.
like, you know,
These next
we're
few
doing
days
the
are
best
for
we can
you,
with what we got.
our Blizzard community.
Life will someday be back to normal. You know, that stuff.
For World of Warcraft,
Yeah, I hear you.
we'll be showing you what's next for both Shadowlands and Classic.
Here we go.
I'm sure you're all burning in anticipation for that one.
That's a hint, Ryan.
Hearthstone is getting back to its roots in a major way. We can't wait to show you how. We also have news for our Diablo community. Some of you were able to dip your toes into the depths of hell in the Diablo Immortal Technical Alpha. I really enjoyed seeing players embrace the multiplayer aspect of meeting in town. We can't wait for more of you to get your hands on it. So, it's only the beginning of the year, and already there is so much to look forward to, even though we can't yet be together in person.
He's getting a little louder.
Overwatch League will be kicking things off in spring, and we'll be watching closely to see if the San Francisco Shock can continue their championship run.
Was it the LA team you said's going Chinese or China?
With the Arena World Championship and Mythic Dungeon International already in full swing in Shadowlands.
Well, there was more than one going China, if I remember right. It's just the LA team was the one that dropped the whole team.
Yeah. The ESL Pro Tour. And
they exported.
Already underway for the first online stop of the 2021 Hearthstone Masters Tour, with the first event taking place next month.
So, guys, we will be skipping. So, like, if you hear the sound kind of sounding choppy, it's because
we get too far ahead.
I'm skipping through.
We're scrubbing through a little bit.
Yeah.
One last time. Twin times were a little simpler. In the early 1990s, the internet was a baby.
It was.
CD sales had finally eclipsed cassette tapes. Cassette tape, it's a rectangle piece of plastic, and there's a tape inside, and music would get recorded on, and sometimes you needed a pencil to wind it.
We had a whole cassette deck, dude.
I know, it sounds crazy.
In our truck.
We were all playing video games.
It was all country music.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, DOS, or Mac PCs.
Oh yeah, you had some AOL free 100 hours.
Dude, I forgot about those CDs.
So many simple things.
Oh man!
Times. If only we could relive them.
Remember, load the picture was rough. You know, just had to sit there and wait. Okay, so here's the first announcement, boys.
The stage is set. The green flag drops. Let the carnage begin. Holy Toledo! What a collection!
So they're showing us the Lost Vikings here, guys. You got
I
Rock and Roll Racing.
I didn't even know Blizzard existed that long ago.
Right? I remember Rock and Roll Racing. The other two, I don't know that I played Blackthorn.
Did you know they were Blizzard back then, though?
No. I think that's when they were like developing for other companies, though. They were Blizzard, but it was kind of like, you know how these little studios will make stuff for bigger studios?
Unbelievable!
Nice.
Whoa!
So they're kind of showing off what they're going to have for this arcade set. You're going to get 4-player split screen for certain games. The ability to rewind, it looked like. I think when I looked up further detail, it was like a 10-second rewind. Anyway, so you're going to get the Lost Vikings, Blackthorn, and Rock and Roll Racing on all platforms, basically.
Blackthorn. These are ports of the games just as you remember them, allowing you to relive the original experience of all 3 titles in 13 different languages, with a couple of quality of life upgrades. As an example, we include very modern, cutting-edge functionality that wasn't available in the early 90s, both saving and loading of games. And for those of you who purchased any Blizzard Digital Anniversary Bundle via Battle.net, you'll automatically receive the Blizzard Arcade Collection on PC today.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now,
just goes right into your library.
Hear about some other video games? Let's hear what's next for World of Warcraft.
All right, here we go. Some of their big daddies. Ooh. I didn't know you looked that bad in the morning, Ryan.
Thanks for joining us today.
Every time I see their live previews like that, I think, why don't they make a movie?
Right,
Like, they look
every
so
time.
good.
Yeah.
Shadowlands, Classic Azeroth, or another part of the Blizzard universe, I'm glad you could make it. because we've got a lot of good stuff to show you.
So this is good old John
First,
Haidt.
Let's start with some Covenant Pride.
Okay, we're gonna skip past this part. So John Haidt, he's the one presenting this little
The
section,
jailer continues to grow in power.
and this
He's
is
preparing to break free from the Maw and complete his plan.
this is gonna be the
to unmake
announcement for the next
entire
patch in the
Warcraft
expansion.
universe. Now, Sylvanas, you may be wondering what she's been up to all this time. Today, we're excited to unveil our first major content update for Shadowlands, Chains of Domination.
That's right, boys. So you saw this video already, or no?
Look around you.
What makes you believe you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends?
Enough! Join our cause, or be made to serve.
So you're hearing,
Right now, you hold all the power.
you're hearing Sylvanas, the Banshee Queen,
Sylvanas Windrunner.
giving King Anduin Wrynn an ultimatum. Basically, the jailer, the big bad from the expansion, is wanting to get his soul, take it over, kind of thing.
The Maw continues to grow. What if Denathrius' treachery is irreparable? The Primus is lost, and Bastion cannot save the Shadowlands alone.
None of this should have happened.
Perhaps the Winter Queen could.
Uh-oh.
My Archon, a living soul, seeks an audience.
A mortal?
A king.
Oh yeah, I see where this is going.
By all our measures, one who has spent his life striving for
That's
justice.
Uther. He's the one that got stabbed by
One
Frostmourne
who
back in
would
the
give
day.
Anything.
Yeah, and he was in that original Shadowlands release and all that, right?
Yeah.
His main story.
See him grab his chest right there?
Is true.
Very well.
So a lot of theories going around that he sensed the power, but you'll see here in a sec.
The darkness, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. She don't know it yet, but she about to.
Yeah, because that's what was in him trying to take over.
The king, held captive in the Maw.
That prison could not hold me forever.
Why have you come to Bastion?
You have a key that I need.
You will release this soul from your grasp.
No. He is bound to me, just as you
once sought to bind your own brother.
Oh, now how did he get the sword in there?
Right? There it is.
So doesn't that sword collect the souls?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's kind of like Frostmourne, but this is
Right.
a new version of that. Yeah, and as you see, King Anduin's been taken over. Obviously, he has no control.
Well, he had it looked like a little bit of control, like he was snapping in and out of it right there for a second.
Right, like he's trying to fight it off.
Mm-hmm.
The vessel performed its part flawlessly. 3 keys remain. Then they will see. Death was never meant to be chained.
There you go. Patch 9.1, Chains of Domination. Now here they just kind of, they don't go into like great detail of it.
Well, from what I hear, this is pretty much the whole thing's going to take place in his realm, right? To where you were able to go down there a little bit in the first Shadowlands release, and
yeah, like you could go down
rescue
there.
a couple people. But in this one, it's pretty much you're really going to be exploring the whole. I don't even know the name of the place. I forget.
The Maw.
The Maw, yeah. Basically the holding place down there.
Yeah, so
And-
they had it set up to where you could do like, I think they had like these eyes set up on your meter when you went into that zone, and so as you completed like quests or did things, that would fill up, and eventually it would just get too hard. He'd just basically kill you every time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or like kick you out or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So
They said now you're going to be in there, but that's because you're joining forces with everybody else, basically.
Mhm.
And there's going to be mounts and pets and everything that are relevant to that realm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That sounds pretty cool.
For sure. And the and so yeah, this and the thing about that is it's not just going to be the mall. He's actually in the end of that video. You'll see an island floating, and if you guys go back and watch it live, he's actually pulling in a whole new continent that used to exist within the mall, or was attached to the mall. I'm not really sure. It may even be just a floating area in the cosmos. I'm not really sure, but the name of that zone will be called Korthia. And it's going to be, it's the City of Secrets, and it's it's going to have new quests, world activities, new creatures to explore. In the Shadowlands update deep dive, they also announced that they're going to be covering a new raid called Sanctum of Domination, and I think I can get a clip of this on here.
Yeah, they said that's 8 bosses, right?
Well, this is going to be the raid, this actual raid. So that's different from the dungeons. So this is going to be a raid, and then they're going to have a mega dungeon, which is the eight boss dungeon you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I could have swore they called that a raid.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they'll do the Sanctum of Domination, and then
now with our new
and here's Korthia.
So inhabited, the landmass to Oribos. It is filled
I'll turn him down a little bit.
The likes of which the Shadowlands has yet to uncover. It is these.
So here's your new rewards you're gonna get.
Severed hand of domination.
You're gonna get these.
I thought that was kind of weird that the severed hand is your mount.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
It's very different. So you'll get a little minion pet that you can unlock. Let's see.
He acted like there was actually more than one pet.
Yeah, here's Sanctum of Domination right here. Let's see what he says about that.
Yeah, he's calling it a raid.
The Sanctum of Domination will be a 10 boss raid.
10 boss raid, yep.
And you'll finally
10 boss
be
raid,
able
okay.
to face off against the terrible
But you're not wrong. The dungeon, I think, is 8 boss.
More times than you want.
Okay, so maybe I combined the two in my head.
You'll be able to take all of your allies.
Well, the 8 boss, I don't think they highlighted quite as much.
Is an 8 boss dungeon.
So here's So it's the broker mega dungeon, is what you're talking about, and that's going to be the broker trading city. It's going to have 8 bosses, and it's a mythic only dungeon. Now,
for those of us like me who haven't played enough WoW, I've only barely gotten started. I've never done a raid or a dungeon. What is the difference? I mean, I don't want to take too much time on that, but for listeners who don't really know.
You're good. So a dungeon is a 5-group dungeon that you go into. It's instance or like a server, right? You go into it, and it's that area that has just mobs, basic NPC enemies that you fight, and then it usually has like 3 to 4 bosses, like usually more like 4. Some of them have 5. Bosses that you fight, and you get gear to level up with, and then when you hit max level, those dungeons max out. And then you get even better gear from them, if that makes sense. Raids are usually 10-man or 25-man. Or actually, I think nowadays it's 20-man raid. But it takes 20 or 10 to do a raid. And there's different versions of that. So you could do like that Sanctum of Domination. You could do a 10-man version of that or a 20-man version. And
So when you're doing that, what makes it different from a broker other than more people?
Well, broker
different from a dungeon.
More people, harder mechanics. It's less. It's not as easy on you, so it's a little bit more punishing. Takes more coordination. The boss fights.
So the raids are a little more upper level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Takes more team coordination. You have to, manage your resources well, all that kind of stuff. Now, for the broker mega dungeon, for those of you who either are just getting into WoW, or any of that, the brokers are these traders. They're kind of these mystical wizard. I don't even want to say wizard. They're like this magic energy looking beings that aren't human. They're not. They're just
Okay.
their own thing, and they're just basically like these traveling traders amongst the cosmos. They can go in and out of different dimensions and stuff. And so these brokers happen to hang out in the Shadowlands, and one of the brokers is down in the mall doing some things she's not supposed to, and so they're kind of like a pirate type group, if that makes sense. Like space pirates is what I think of.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
they're facilitating things between the realms. That's what a broker does.
Yeah, they're kind of black market, doing some of the black market stuff. They did announce too that with the broker mega dungeon, you can get a little disc mount that you'll see here on the screen if you're looking. They also have these little creatures that you can collect that are like little companion pets that just follow you around. So they did that. They also, in the update, showed you an example of some of the mounts that are going to be in the game. So here's an example of the Bastion mounts, which is your Kyrians, the one that looks like angels. That's kind of what those will look like. They show off the Night Fae areas. So as
those look sweet.
Like little fox type characters. For the Plague, the Necrolord areas, those are like literal fly bugs that you can ride on. So I thought that was kind of cool. Not to spend too much time. You're also going to get some new cosmetics for your character. So depending on what covenant you joined in the Shadowlands, you'll be able to unlock their looks. So this video here that's playing is just giving you an example of some of those looks. So far, I like Bastions because it kind of looks very Roman-esque, you know. So I enjoyed that. I like the Venthyr too. There's just kind of like a vampire goth look.
Okay.
As you can see there. So anyway, you got that, and then they announced some PvP stuff, rewards. They're going to do some changes to the Tower of Torghast. So if you're a WoW player, all these things are really good. Yeah, and so that's it on that. We'll go back to the opening ceremonies and check out the next reveal that they did here.
That said, I'm super excited to be able to share with you where our adventures are taking us next.
So before that, just I didn't really clarify on this part of the video. She had done a summary basically of how Classic did. Classic WoW and basically some of the things they learned from it and how it basically has its own community. Really, it's
right.
We've talked about on the podcast how it's brought life back into their product. I think that's why their numbers have been so good for Warcraft in general, is them bringing back the classic servers and stuff. But anyway, so this is the next announcement that they make regarding Classic.
You dare enter my realm.
You can tell they upped their FPS for this.
Your foolishness has brought you to this end. Take my blood and choke on it.
Death to the outsiders!
I'll turn your world upside down.
You are not prepared.
All right, there you go. So the Dark Portal, aka the Burning Crusade, is going to be coming to World of Warcraft Classic on this year. So I'm guessing probably, if I had to guess, probably late, maybe August. I'm trying to think, when did Classic launch last year? Was it about that time, maybe?
Yeah, that seems right.
Yeah.
And since then, some people play both, but it does seem like a lot of people who play Classic.
Yeah.
And that's just what they play. And then the people that play the new version, they play the new version. So it's really become two different games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it already was, but I wasn't sure how that was going to develop. Was it going to be kind of a throwback where people kind of dabbled in Classic sometimes for nostalgia? And no, it's kind of established its own thing.
Yeah, it's like the players are like, okay, we're Classic players, and you can enjoy your modern version. I mean, I'm sure there's crossover players for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like you have that niche that's like, nope, we're staying Classic. Which is interesting because I'm like, man, you think you could only play something for so long.
Right.
Now, they did do some good announcements, some things, and these are things that I have wondered what they would do. When we first, I think we had even talked on the podcast about them possibly doing it, which was, okay, if you're going to do Burning Crusade, which is the first expansion of Classic WoW back in the day, or originally was the first WoW expansion, how would they do it, right? Or are you going to be forced to go and play Burning Crusade because some Classic players say Classic was the best that was ever made? That's all they want, like we were just saying. So they clarified some things with BlizzCon, and I think, some of it's like, yeah, they're going for money, but I think overall it's probably the best they could do, and make it work. So, from what I gathered from BlizzCon, this is how it's going to look. Basically, as far as your character goes, if you have your own Classic account, Burning Crusade will not be account bound. It's going to be character bound, if that makes sense. So, say Ryan creates Rhino, and he played all the way to max level on regular Classic. You want to keep that character, for instance, on Classic. Well, you don't have to push that character forward. That character can stay, and you can move another character there. Or say you want to move that character and keep a copy of that character on the Classic server. You can pay Blizzard money, and they haven't set a price, but you can pay for a copy of the said character. So you would have a copy of Ryan on the WoW Classic, and you would have a copy of the character on Burning Crusade.
The modern one.
Well,
in my understanding, I guess I don't understand WoW enough. I thought Burning Crusade was just an expansion of Classic.
It is, but it's going to be its own thing.
Really?
Yeah. So rather than forcing those Classic,
I know you just said that, but I did not understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I saw you sent me a text and don't understand. I was like, what's you mean? So Burning Crusade is, I guess I need to clarify that for the listeners. It's going to be its own servers. So you're going to have Classic WoW servers. And then you're going to have Burning Crusade servers. And then you're going to have modern WoW servers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so the only way...
because Classic is all the way back Classic.
Yeah, it's the original
Burning Crusade is somewhere in between.
Well, it's the next expansion of that.
Classic.
Back when you played Classic, and me and you bought Classic, right?
Right.
And we play all the way to max level 16. We've done all the content. At some point, they came out and said, hey, Burning Crusade is the next WoW expansion.
Yeah, but it was still part of the Classic.
Right. But the thing was, they changed things of Classic. Like they changed the classes, they changed the, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It has all those
yeah,
updates.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it changed enough that it makes it not Classic.
Right.
Yep. So they're making it its own thing between the two.
Yep.
That's interesting.
So yeah, that's different. And so, like I said, they're doing it character.
I wonder if
based.
they'll release kind of each thing leading up to the more modern way.
I think that's
and then people can just pick their favorite style.
Yeah, I think that's the route they're going.
That's weird.
Definitely seems that way, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how far you push that to where then eventually just kind of dies out. I don't know, but it's a good business strategy. But they're doing it. I figured they'd do it account based, right? But
I mean,
not.
either way, you pay for it, right? Whether it's connected to Classic back in the day or not, you buy the expansion.
Well, you don't buy the expansion with these classic ones. All that's free. You just pay your subscription.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. So you just pay your $15.
How does that work on the new stuff? You buy the expansion?
Yeah, the most recent one. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're not going to make you go back and rebuy the old stuff.
This update we just reviewed today about the Maw and everything, you don't pay for that because it's not an actual expansion. It's just a update to the expansion.
Yeah, but you would have to have bought the expansion, so it's kind of
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you came and started playing WoW now, you would have to buy Shadowlands, and that's it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah. They don't charge for any of their previous stuff, and that's kind of their new business model. You only pay for the most recent expansion as a new player. Now, obviously, I'll pay for each one because they come out each time.
Right.
Okay. So it's tied to your character, like I said. So you're going to have to decide on your characters. Are they going to go to Burning Crusade or not? You have to tell it. It's going to basically prompt you and say, do you want this character to go to Burning Crusade?
I get it now. So you can duplicate that character, start one in Burning Crusade, leave your old character where he was.
Well, that's only
if you port him over.
Yeah, he leaves.
That character's gone.
Yeah, he leaves Classic server and goes to Burning Crusade server. Yep.
Mm.
And so where they're going to get you is you're going to have to pay to keep copies on both. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a one-time fee, they said, and I think this is for people who haven't played Classic. Maybe I did want to play Classic WoW, but I wanted to play Burning Crusade. And so I come in and try to play Burning Crusade Classic. But I don't want to have to level all the way from 1 to 60, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're allowing a one-time purchase. It's just going to be one time, a level boost to level 58. Because the Burning Crusade's from 60 to 70.
So you essentially can undo that with one character.
Only one ever, because they don't want it to get out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just doing that for like a one-time thing. And then with Burning Crusade, they had brought in the Blood Elves and the Draenei. Blood Elves were for the Horde. Draenei were for the Alliance. They said that because the Horde and the Alliance get the Shaman, it was the Alliance would get a Shaman and the Horde would get a Paladin.
Okay.
Because in Classic, that was kind of what made the Alliance and Horde different. Alliance had a Paladin, Horde had a Shaman. So in this expansion, they made it to where these characters could play those.
Okay.
So anywho, so yeah, they're gonna let you play those classes that I just mentioned, the Shaman and the Paladin. They're gonna let you play that early before the Burning Crusade starts. So anyway, I don't understand your text. You just want to tell me?
You text me. Can you mute your mic on a bit?
Oh,
and make sure
I want to
you don't echo on Steam.
I just wanted you to go to the stream. That should have said stream. I just wanted you to go to the live stream and make sure you weren't echoey. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, why would I be?
Because I turned the echo off on Parsec.
Oh, so you think it could be echoing somehow internally?
Yeah. I just want to make sure it wasn't picking up on the stream as an echo.
Okay, I always have the stream muted, so give me just a second.
Okay. I'll wait.
That is important, so I'll go ahead and check. Oh, it's more current than it usually is.
Oh, really? That's nuts.
I think so. Oh, it's more current than it usually is. Oh, really?
Yeah, you sound good, though.
That's nuts. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
It was silent while I'm sitting there watching. I'm thinking, what is wrong? And I realized, oh, it's already current, because usually it's not. We were sitting there silently.
That's funny.
All right. Sorry, guys. Back at
You're
it.
good. So I think I was all over the place on that. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys now.
Well, you were all over the place a little bit, but that's because I'm a listener and participator stand-in, essentially, right? Because
Right.
I've not really played the game much, and I know we have listeners who haven't, but who think about playing it when we talk about it.
Right.
And so I'm asking those kind of questions because I know they're thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Unless maybe I'm just the only slow one.
No, you're good. You're good. I think that's all the announcements they did for Burning Crusade. There's some other more intricate things that they did with certain blessings and things that are more kind of hardcore. But I don't think for anybody who's new to Burning Crusade Classics really going to care about that part of it.
Okay.
So that was one of their big announcements. So the next thing we're going to talk about Hearthstone. Let's see what they announced for good old Hearthstone.
Don't worry.
All right.
We'll be getting into the details in our panel later today.
All right, here we go.
Greetings.
Greetings,
Truly
matey.
excited to share with you everything that's coming to Hearthstone this year. But first, let's take a quick look back at the year of the Phoenix. We added our first new class, the Demon Hunter.
We just care about your new expansion,
Lived
bro.
the old school experience. The year of the Griffin.
All right, Year of the Griffin. Here we go, Ryan. Big announcement. Year of the Griffin.
You're a hero of the Horde. All roads lead to the crossroads. You have come for adventure. But the Barons wants to break you. Your axe
I love this kind of art style, too.
must be sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Your wits must be keen. And your heart must be mighty.
Get all that cool stuff, and then this guy's just shooting at little golden leaves. Just hanging out. I think he got a hold of some shrooms, Ryan. Let's just be honest.
Do some bored people here, huh?
Strength and honor. This is who we are.
Even like a WoW comic cartoon thing like this would be sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I'm like you. I see these things. And I'm like, why aren't we experiencing this stuff in like movie form too, and like show form?
Iconic locales, the Barons. And we'll come face to face.
Okay, so there you go. It's an expansion based on the Barons. You're gonna get some new cards. We're gonna really skip past this because it's a card game and it just doesn't keep my attention. Sorry. No, I will. Let me look real quick though. For Hearthstone, they did say, it's going to be a Barons expansion. So that's like based off of the Barons in WoW. So if you play WoW, you know. They said the standard format will no longer include a combination of basic, classic, or current card rotations. Instead, a new collection called Core Set, consisting of 235 cards, along with current sets, will be the only cards available in the standard mode. Core Set includes a mix of basic, classic, and wild cards and will rotate over time. The rest of the basic and classic cards will be removed into a wild format as part of the legacy set. So, Ryan, you may be asking, what the heck does that mean? Whenever they started doing these expansions for the digital card game, they started getting to where it was getting a little crazy. Because you had all these decks, these card sets that you could do, do these combos with, and it was just kind of getting out of control. So they decided that they were going to originally basically only keep a certain amount. And I forget the actual number, but it was basically like we're only keeping, I'll just throw a number out there, 5 expansions or five current sets, right? And so when each expansion came out, the one that was the latest one after 5 will get dropped.
Right.
Yeah. Get put into the wild card set. And then they would have this wild thing where you could just go and do whatever.
Mm.
So now it looks like they're just taking a core set. It's kind of the same thing, I think, but I guess just not basing it off of each expansion, but making a part of current set, what they think. So anyway, if you're into Hearthstone, there are some good details there that I think you'd be interested in. All right, so let's move on over to Diablo news. Ryan, you've never got to play any Diablo.
I did not.
One of the first ever appear in the series.
Okay.
Let's have a look.
This is one of the first classes to ever appear in the series of Diablo. This is a big announcement. Is that your church, bro?
Pray with me. May Akarat guide and protect me.
May Akarat guide and protect me.
May he shepherd my soul
May he shepherd my soul
and grant it mercy.
And grant it mercy.
What are you doing here? This is not the time.
But this is confession. And I have sinned. I was a thief who stole from those more fortunate. I strayed from your light and found my trade in the shadows. They call it murder. I say, job well done.
Ooh.
Stop. Enough.
I am a thief, a heretic, a murderer, Father. Will Akarat save me?
You mock our light. But those monsters were a scourge upon my flock. And you were the answer to their prayers.
Then we are settled, and you owe me.
The name you seek is... Thank the heavens for you.
Heavens? I assure you, Father, the heavens didn't send me.
So there you go. I'm just going to show you a little example of the gameplay. She actually looks pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm. Definitely looks like an intense game.
Yeah. Well, it's all about that making you feel strong and just tear through stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, character building.
Yeah.
Big character trees, all kinds of customization.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I like the little trailer, though. Great preview. Very cinematic.
Mm-hmm. Again, goes back to that, why aren't we watching movies? Right. A little ear collection. Find out she's giving old priest man some trophies.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a little preview of Diablo 4.
World than we've ever played in before.
I think it shows a little bit more. Yeah.
Sisterhood, or a cloak and dagger rogue from the darkest.
So yeah, you can kind of affect how they look, and whatnot.
You will have the freedom to create
I know there's more he talks about here. Yeah.
Of the things they've learned from their recent alpha test and what's next for the game. But that's still not all. We have one last bit of very exciting Diablo news to cover.
Yep, here you go.
When you hear us talk about the classes, the items, or the stories of the early Diablo games, you may have picked up on the absolute reverent tone we reserve for that golden era of Diablo. Maybe you share that love of the classics, and just
He's definitely reading a teleprompter, isn't he?
makes you want to take on Mephisto.
Yes.
On some of that, you can tell when he goes into like, I'm actually excited, to, back to script.
Some of our favorite moments happened a long time ago, and not just in Sanctuary years.
Looks kind of like Hunter
We have
trying
a
to talk.
special surprise for you today. Let's check it out.
Love you, Hunt Dog. Miss you.
Now you know what I seek, Marius. Were these the demons from... Don't do it! It seems I'm not acceptable. Look what they've done to me.
Arise, Diablo, Lord of Terror.
20 years ago, a game defied a genre.
Though this be our darkest hours, it may yet be your...
Crap graphics. I bet that was so good back in the day, though, man.
It was a crazy game. Yeah, I remember people just loved it.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Doing a little remaster, baby. They got to do this this little remaster better than they did Warcraft 3. So hopefully the same company's not working on that. Ooh.
That's a big one.
Yeah. That's a real big one.
I mean, the new one is that way, right? But it is surprising that they brought the classic out that way.
Well, you know what? I don't know about the new one.
I think that it is. I think we talked about it when it was coming.
That it would be cross progression?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it wouldn't really make sense for them to do it for this and not the other. So
yeah, I think we talked about it. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we'll double check it too. So Diablo 2 Resurrected. It's a remaster. Looks freaking sweet. As far as now I have more of a reason to play Diablo 2. So that's pretty much the opening ceremonies. But yeah, with the Diablo 2, it's going to be updated graphics. What else can we say? It's going to be cross progression. It didn't really say cross platform though, did it? I keep wanting to say
it did say cross platform.
I thought it said cross progression. I don't know. I guess it would be though if it's cross progression.
No, I'll go back to that. Let's double check. I thought it said cross platform because it said PC, console, and cross platform.
I thought it said cross progression.
Maybe my mind might have just read it.
Well, I could have read it wrong. Let's see. Oh no, I guess it was further on in the thing here. Consoles. Yeah, cross progression.
Cross progression. Oh, so you can move your character from one to another.
Yeah. So if you want to play on PlayStation, you just...
That's probably a dumb question. I mean, I don't know enough about Diablo to know. Is it a co-op game?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So cross-platform it could be.
So on the last one, it was you could have up to 4 players.
Okay.
And then you just go through and just tear things up.
Slash.
Yep.
Bash.
Yeah.
Shred.
You usually start out with the story, go through the story. Once you beat that, then they have difficulty levels that you work up through, and basically just min and max your character all the way to as strong as you can get them.
From what I understand, the story's real good on the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Diablo 3 was good. I mean, some people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it. Of course, it was my first Diablo game that I ever played, so there you go. And then Diablo also have Druid, so you can do like werewolf form and stuff. That's pretty cool. And then I think like Barbarian or Warrior. So anyway, good news there. Now, they didn't really say much about Overwatch in the opening ceremony, and I definitely was surprised. There just wasn't anything. So because of that, guys, we're just going to check out some Overwatch 2 behind the scenes and let you know.
Which is weird, right? Because they announced new things.
Yeah, they announced it last year, so it was like, okay.
Well, I mean, what they talked about in this video we're about to watch had new information, did it not?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, yeah. But I think they just felt like it wasn't like announced.
New enough, big enough.
Yeah,
I get you.
So far, what do you think? I think
it's good.
I know you're not a big Blizzard game guy, but
oh yeah, but I follow the company essentially and how they're doing, and I think that they definitely had some struggles when they first partnered with Activision, and kind of gradually declined and made some huge mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this last year and a half, they've really picked up steam again, and I'm glad to see that.
Yeah. I was a little surprised, like some of the announcements. I was kind of like with Shadowlands, I expected they're probably not going to have much. It's the middle of an expansion. They're not going to announce next time's expansion. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I figured that. The arcade kind of threw me off. I wasn't expecting that. So that's kind of a cool little feature.
Small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Diablo 2, I think, is probably their biggest news. Maybe even bigger than Diablo 4 for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that combined with, I think that the, what is it called? Burning Crusades.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah. Surprised there was no StarCraft. And they didn't say anything about StarCraft, and wasn't even a panel on StarCraft. It wasn't like, hey, let's look at the old art of StarCraft. There's just nothing.
Here's where we're at. Here's what we're doing. Anything?
Yeah, nothing. So I don't know what to tell StarCraft players. Sorry, guys. All right, so we're gonna watch a little bit of this behind the scenes for Overwatch 2, and then we'll just kind of interject here and there, and then give our opinions at the end if you're good with that.
Okay.
And then we can just kind of give a summary. Okay.
Hi, everybody, please hit record. Fingers crossed. We lost Scott.
It's off to a good start.
This is going great.
We've been assembling one of the best teams that I have ever worked with.
I'm nervous.
And I'm so proud of the progress that we have made together.
Like, I can just talk about anything that I want to.
Yes.
You're serving this up to the guy that is like unintentionally leaked information in past interviews.
You can do it officially now.
Okay, so one of the maps that I'm most excited for in Overwatch 2 is our Rome map.
Yeah, baby.
We always want Overwatch to feel like this globe-trotting adventure for our players. So we're having a lot of fun coming up with the Overwatch version of Rome.
We wanted a very romantic, sort of this powerful feeling of old world architecture. One of the most exciting things for me is the early building of these maps, where we get to sit down together with key people from the environment team, level designers, effects groups. We'll spend some time talking about moments in the game that we really want to see, like the Colosseum or a grand view of the hills of Rome in the backdrop. And then we'll go back and do a paint over, or we'll do a concept painting of certain things based on that.
We try to draw inspiration from as many different sources as possible. For example, one of our environment artists had just taken a trip to Rome, and he returned with thousands of pictures and was so excited to work on a map set in Italy.
There's a lot of ancient architecture in Rome that represents the empire that it used to be. So we brought some of that back. Some of the things that are destroyed in real life, we kind of rebuilt in a kind of an Overwatch style.
That's cool.
It's one of the most beautiful pieces of
this isn't on the stream, right?
We've made for the entire game, and it just
catch.
absolutely took my breath away.
There you go, guys.
Yeah, I like it. Looks sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Scott. Scott, why don't you have the honor? Why don't you reveal, like, is there an artified, like, let's pick an artified one.
I know what map I want to talk about. It's the one that I just get super excited about. New York City. New York City is just
an amazing Overwatch location.
Okay.
We're really striving to make it as
That's kinda
authentic
crazy.
as possible while still putting this
Mhm.
Overwatch spin on it.
There's a lot of amazing buildings and architecture pieces that just, especially for artists, stands out a lot. And they usually use this kind of Art Deco style from the 1920s, 1950s.
We started in an area that's a little bit like the village. There's some smaller shops there. There's a fire station, little pizza places and things that people that are familiar with New York City will either recognize or maybe see the reference that we're trying to make with some of our different locations.
I love how
It
they
feels like
integrate the
something
technology.
you haven't seen in other games
Mhm.
before because it's uniquely Overwatch.
All the
Well,
flying
we
cars
should
up
move
top
on,
instead on the
otherwise we just
streets.
have to reveal more maps. So we were talking about PvP, and you know, one thing that I think is really interesting about PvP in Overwatch 2 is some of the philosophical changes we're making to the approach.
PvP feels different and new. We're upgrading our combat feel. The roles are playing differently. When it comes to all new maps, it's a pretty big departure from where we are on live right now. So I can't wait to see where we end up with it by the time we launch this thing.
I mean, you can tell some of the changes they did with the UI and stuff.
Which are passive
Mhm.
abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are.
So when they
For
say
example, currently
PvP,
in
are they
Until
talking about more
the
like
tank heroes
team
all
versus
have
team,
knockback
or?
reduction against them, and they
Hold on,
also
let me-
generate less in our internal build.
Let me
It's
rewind
a
that back. They're talking about competitive, like what we're doing right now, because this
Isn't
is gonna,
all of it PvP then?
No, because this is going to be Overwatch 2 is going to have an actual co-op campaign.
Oh
And that-
yes,
and that's-
okay, I did know that.
Yeah.
I just thought they were introducing something new on the PvP sector
I think he's talking
They're
about
just-
changes within PvP.
within PvP. Okay.
I mean, you know, like we said, it's going to cross play with Overwatch 1, so I just don't know how they're going to do that. It's just something completely different, but
Right. So then you're going to have a completely separate co-op campaign thing,
right.
which they're going to get into that. And then right now they're talking about the changes they're making to PvP.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, because remember, Overwatch 1 players and Overwatch 2 players are still going to be able to compete.
With each other.
Right. And
Just not in the certain maps.
I don't know, because they've said that with map updates and characters, Overwatch 1 would get them.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I think Overwatch 2 is just that co-op component.
So it's
Added
almost
to
like,
it.
why did they need to
And-
release
and-
you know, he said in the beginning there's enough changes that it just really required for there to be a sequel. You
Yeah.
really couldn't just add it to the other game.
So I think you're
there's
just
got to
not
be
getting
some
those-
mechanics and
those-
stuff that are changing enough that
Yeah, there's
add-on
graphical
wouldn't cut
updates
it.
maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know how they're going to balance it. I'm just going based off what they said last year, but they really didn't say much this year about that. So we'll see.
Okay.
I've kind of questioned that since they
We're also
announced it.
experimenting
How are you
with
going to do
what we
that,
call
you know?
passives,
Mhm.
which are passive abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are. For example, currently in our internal builds, the tank heroes all have knockback reduction against them, and they also generate less ultimate charge for enemies that are shooting at them. Damage dealing heroes have a movement speed bonus, which is great for flanking around the map. And healing heroes, support heroes have automatic healing that kicks in after they haven't taken damage for a while, very similar to Mercy's passive, but a little bit of a lower rate.
One of the more shocking changes that we've been exploring in Overwatch 2 PvP is a change to the tank role entirely. That's applied to all of the tanks. We want to try to make them more toe-to-toe brawlers and less characters that just stand back and protect other people.
So, for example, for Reinhardt, we've given him 2 charges of Fire Strike, so he can throw Fire Strikes a lot more aggressively and more often. Also, his charge, he's able to cancel it now, and you can steer it more aggressively, so you can, you know, not quite turn a corner, but you can definitely more accurately pin targets. And because you can cancel it, it allows you to use it much more aggressively. And
Yeah, you can tell you can
really
turn
go
way
after
more.
those key targets without feeling like you're going to sacrifice, you know, all of your positioning, everything to get there. He's almost more terrifying now with this, be able to unleash his full arsenal more often than kind of just being.
Yeah, he's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
The changes to Reinhardt that we're trying, and they might not shift, that's just the reality, but the changes that we're trying right now are to try to embrace more of that instinct that players have when they want to play a big burly character that looks aggressive and feels like it should be aggressive.
And really,
some players play him aggressive already. They're real good with him.
Yeah.
And he just tears everything apart.
Combat field group, to really just work on what happens when a player holds the trigger.
We're putting a ton of effort into looking at all of our characters and trying to give them even a more visceral weapon feel.
From sound to VFX to animation to the design of these units, all new sounds for a lot of our weapons in the game, and a whole new sound system that's driving it. And we didn't just level up a unit, we leveled up the rest of the game.
When we first started working on Overwatch, we spent quite a bit of time working on gunfire sounds and just general combat feel to make it feel really awesome. We're revisiting pretty much everything. Nothing's off the table, so we're looking at even kind of small things such as quick melee attacks that every hero has. So they have kind of new audio pass and a new kind of feel.
See how she bounces back? That's kind of cool.
One of the bigger efforts we're undertaking for Overwatch 2 is what we're calling our Weapon 2.0 Sound Pass. What this is a big overhaul to the weapon systems in the game. That means the way the gun feels in your hands. You could feel the ammo running out as you're getting lower on the clip. We've really tried to amplify those sounds to better encapsulate the gameplay and the gunplay that comes with Overwatch 2. Another key for the weapons was getting them to feel like they're in the environment. This meant working with convolution reverb. It's a new system that we've implemented into Overwatch. It's a way that we can capture the acoustics of an
I
environment.
like that.
And
That way, if you're in a
transport it
room, it's
onto
going to
the
sound different than when you're outside.
So we went and captured tales of guns in different environments through our weapon shoots.
Nice.
And then we've cut them and applied it so that we can support a lot more environments. Now we're supporting outdoor, urban outdoor, warehouse tales.
Yeah, you can definitely tell a difference.
Tight tunnels, small rooms, and it gives a lot more presence
That's
to
cool.
the weapons
Yeah.
and the way that they react.
You thought the game was loud before, right?
Has evolved a lot since Overwatch
And chaotic.
1 came out. On top of that, I think we really want to push the visceral nature of how we do combat. So we focused a lot, not just on the wonderful sound effects, but also with how the gun moves as you shoot. So you can really feel every single shot leaving the chamber. And there's a lot of subtle little tweaks we have to do on the gameplay engineering side to make that feel really visceral. Everything from making sure that the camera shakes are crisp, making sure that if you get shot, you know exactly these tight indicators show up on the outside of your reticle. All these things play into making the game
I kind of like that better.
not just tight and responsive.
Like when he's getting
but
shot,
also
it's like the whole left screen, not just a little part of it.
76, for example. What
Lights
we
up.
wanted to do in Overwatch 2 with his weapon was make it really feel incredibly powerful, and that happens with a bunch of different elements that mix together. But it really feels like the gun is almost just outside of your control. A lot of that comes down to this camera
Pause it.
technology, where every time you fire.
All I'm thinking about this whole time is that we need a DualSense controller
Yes.
to really make this what it needs to be.
Do you think that's why they're doing some of this?
I don't know.
Like when
Might be.
when you buy it for PlayStation 5, you get to
It's going to be
include
crazy.
some of this
probably.
with it.
Yep.
That's what this almost feels like.
We
Why-
play mouse and keyboard, but that's how it feels. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like, why are they putting all this effort into this? Because yeah, it would look good for mouse and keyboard or for a regular controller, but you're right. I just thought
Be a
of
whole
that.
nother experience with DualSense.
Yeah, that may be why they're overhauling this whole thing. Not, but they're not going to come right out and say that and piss all
Right.
their peoples off, their Xbox or whatever or PC. Yeah.
The weapon, you want to feel like it's running through your entire body, and the camera shake gives that extra bite to every single shot out of the chamber. It makes him feel really great.
Isn't that
You guys
weird how
got a
just little
sneak
subtle
peek of
changes like
Sojourn
that
from last BlizzCon? She's been
affect it?
under development for quite a while, and she's actually quickly at this point become a lot of people's favorites in-house. When we look back at Overwatch when it was originally created, there was a lot of heroes that were made from a gameplay standpoint kind of surrounding a weapon type. For example, Pharah was based on a rocket launcher hero. Widowmaker is clearly like kind of the sniper. We thought there was a weapon that was kind of missing that would be a lot of fun to play with, and that's a railgun. It's so much fun in the playtest to have this really powerful shot that can, rip through enemies if you really are accurate with it. And she's all about that aim skill. So if you got that aim skill, you'll love her.
we're still exploring new game modes.
We won't like
We're
her.
also
No.
reevaluating older game modes that people are more critical of. You know, we're of the mindset maybe 2CP doesn't exist in Overwatch 2, and maybe there's a new cool game mode that replaces it. We really want Overwatch 2 to feel like the next evolution, a true sequel to the first game, not an add-on. It's not a small part. It's not an extension of the original game. This is an evolution and a replacement to the original game, and I think it's exciting.
See, he says all this. I'm sorry, I want to pause it. He says all
I'm thinking the
this, and
exact
it's
same
like,
thing.
So it sounds like you're ditching Overwatch 1, which I'm fine with. It's been out for a long time. I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
or maybe he's just basically saying, hey, we want you guys to know we're making big enough changes that this game is a different game. Yes, it will cross-play for so long.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it feels like he's saying.
Yeah.
But it's on a track to be the new Overwatch.
Yeah, like you won't have access to this game mode. You'll play the old game modes on Overwatch 1. Yep. That could be it. So here's where it gets into more of the co-op stuff, Ryan.
Probably one of the things that's the hardest to wrap your head around if you've never played one of them.
The goal around hero missions is for these to be this co-op PvE experience.
I personally only play competitive mode. Like, I'm all about that competition. And I have friends that they don't want to do that at all. So I'm really looking forward to a game that I can play hours and hours with my friends who aren't in competitive.
He looks like Dexter, doesn't he?
I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Hero missions are the content that people are playing as they are leveling up their heroes. And so for a system like this to really sing, you need a lot of mission. We don't want players to feel like they're just in this grind to get to the top.
And there's a lot of really, really good back-end technology that we're exploring so that the heroes are constantly bringing their personality and some light story to these hero missions as well.
The goal is to make as many as possible, hundreds of hero missions. We've explored a lot of different ways of getting to that much content. Still have like different sets of enemy units that people will be fighting against, and there's different hero mission types. At the same time, hero missions can take place in all of the multiplayer maps that we've done, and we're also adding new spaces onto some of these maps.
It's a huge challenge for the art team. We take maps that a lot of people love and recognize, and we have to add a lot more art and level design to it.
In this one hero mission playtest, we came up to an area in Kings Row that usually has a gate on it. Suddenly that gate opened and I saw a new area of Kings Row that I had never seen before.
You may be playing a payload game type, and the payload may decide to take this new route instead of going the usual route.
That was really, really cool. It was like this eye-opening special moment.
Lan, our lead tech artist on the environment side, very early on our own free time, made a prototype of a sandstorm on the Temple of Anubis map.
And at the time,
You know that
we didn't
map,
know what
Ryan?
we wanted to do with that, but it looked awesome.
We looked at it and went, oh my God, we absolutely have to do this.
So we put some new technology in place
That's
that
cool.
allows us to do this dynamically.
That looks
You start
good.
the mission off, clear day. Midway through the mission, suddenly this sandstorm or heavy weather would show up.
It made the world just feel so much more alive.
They should have that
Sunset
In the
in
PvP?
PvP.
Yeah.
But depending on where you are in the world,
You know, it
these
make people
look
mad,
different.
though.
California,
I can't
or
see my
Hollywood will
shot.
have what we call a California sun. In New Bonnie, there's a great African sun that happens there. You start to get a sense of space and mood. This is what really brings the levels to life.
For me, the dynamic world's exciting. Just seeing these dramatic landscapes, the wind and the atmosphere blowing by. It's a much more cinematic experience for the player.
Before you start a mission, you look at a map. It's nighttime in Necropolis, or there's a sandstorm in Necropolis. Players can make some comp choices based on knowing this information. Characters like Hanzo or Widowmaker start to be a little more valuable.
So it
because
sounds
they
like
have
the maps will
abilities that
never
allow
be
them to
exactly
see
the same,
through
maybe?
the sand more clearly.
There'll be different settings and things going on.
Well, they go through cycles, but It's going to add a lot of variety.
Types of objectives in hero missions.
Yeah, let's talk about the objectives. Players are being asked to do different things from one hero mission to the next so that they all feel really fresh to the player.
For example, we have Gather and Return, where you're trying to go and grab these different canisters to kind of safeguard them so they don't go off and affect the population in a negative way. It creates this really cool tension in the world where on the one hand you're trying to split up and go grab all these canisters to be as efficient as possible, but at the same time now you're having these sort of special enemy units spawn that are really difficult, and if you kind of get caught by yourself it turns into a pretty bad situation really quickly, and it feels extremely cooperative and like a very different way to interact with the Overwatch universe.
It's weird seeing it as a PvE
with all sorts of ideas and
concept.
Just internally we have names like
And the way it's mission by mission, it's not really like a
kill quests
a storyline.
New mechanics,
or at least from what this looks like, right?
To experience.
Or that's what they're saying. You can kind of select what you want to play when you want to play it.
Hero missions, and then work through the progression system, leveling up their heroes.
I'm definitely digging it. Like, it's a good change up.
The fact that there's a what they're talking about right now, it's
interesting. And we showed the very early version of our talent system, which I think was really cool. We had that one talent where like Meg became the rolling snowball, which was a big hit. We've really blown that system out.
I'm real excited about talents. You can play the same hero in so many different ways. Now with the skill tree, you can have fun every night doing different things and kind of experimenting.
Yeah, the talent system is like really deep and rich, and every
it's a lot of
hero
talents.
has different trees. You might open up 76's tree, and as you're leveling and picking new talents, you're starting to feel your hero change. We've had some pretty hilarious versions of the healing one where his biotic field travels with him. It also repulses enemies. We called it the snowplow build, where 76 is like running through spaces, pushing enemies away from them.
Designing these is super fun because it's like we get to break all the rules that we've sort of established for ourselves, and we get to really take the gloves off and do crazy things like Junkrat can dual wield grenade launchers, and we've had Mercy be able to area effect res their whole team at once at super long range through walls. It's been a ton of fun, kind of like mad scientists making all this stuff.
You're all used to using these kind of kinetic weapons like Soldier 76's rifle or fire attack like what Reinhardt's Flame Strike does. As soon as you start to mutate these things with talents, all of a sudden maybe you're doing freeze damage or electrical damage, but it gives the animators a bunch of crazy opportunities. You know, the animations are going to change to show them freezing and shattering. And if you shock someone with a lightning attack, they can shake in place and stun, maybe chain to other enemies. All sorts of stuff to make you feel like you're controlling the battlefield in novel ways.
I've had that throw me off for PvP though.
Myself, the first time
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Systems, it was like, oh my gosh.
Not even only throw you off, but you might wish you could have that character.
I want to plan,
like,
I want to see like where do I want to.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking like, why don't they just include it?
It's so great.
I don't care if it breaks the game.
Yeah, then everybody would have all these different ways of play. It would add so much craziness.
Oh man,
planning how you're gonna get down there.
It'd be too intimidating, really.
So fun.
Jeez.
But I'm pretty certain it's just going to be for PvE only.
BlizzCon 2019, and we talk about some of the criticisms that we had. One of them, as a development team, that we felt was that the combat was just not engaging enough. So the fact that our combat wasn't highly engaging to us as players meant that we had a problem with the enemy units, and that they just weren't feeling interesting enough.
Just because we show something to the public, it doesn't mean that that is what it's going to be. If we make discoveries where things aren't working how we want, they're not reading how we want, they're not fun enough, we're totally down to reinvestigate, reiterate, and just really find ways to level kind of all aspects of things until they feel good.
I would say a major focus of all of 2020 was to make the null sector enemy units more engaging. And some of this was adding new units and evolving other units that we had.
Interesting combat for us is varied combat for us. So sometimes we're going to ask you to protect something in Overwatch 2. Sometimes we're just going to ask you to get someplace. Sometimes we might ask you to escort something across a map while it's being attacked. And so it's a different type of spawning, and it's a different type of units that are in there, and it's a simpler objective.
There's a lot of units Aaron is talking about. Lots of different units, lots of different types. They serve different purposes. You do different things to them. It's really going to help a lot of us find the fun and make sure that Overwatch 2 is a blast.
One of those sets of enemies is what we internally call objective units. And they're typically units that don't even attack players. The simplest version would be something like the Breacher.
It's two legs with this huge bomb on its back. It was built to do one thing: slowly and methodically march towards its objective, and then it transforms, and the bomb opens up like a flower. It starts spinning and charging up, and you hear this awesome sound, and you know you have a little bit of time before it's gonna explode and you have to take it out.
We have units like the slicers, which you guys have seen before. They're little, we call them the chickens. They're little chicken sometimes. They run really fast. You know, we have a guy we're experimenting with right now who flies and drops these bombs that create these kind of ever-expanding smoke fields that you have to escape from, but because they're super deadly. So you really get to use your mobility options to kind of escape that.
There's things like the Polar. You could be moving through these darker alleys, and as soon as you hear that Polar spawn, it suddenly becomes like really spooky and kind of scary.
This very tall, elegant-looking character that's blindfolded, 3 orbs
Reminds
that
me of the
circle
witch.
around her as her eyes.
It's definitely some kind of a Left 4 Dead vibe.
Those orbs around her head as a big tell, launched them at the player, and then it activates this tractor beam, and it's bringing you in, and then you get this awesome like anticipation of the hair opening up, so you know what's about to happen.
One thing we've just recently been experimenting with is this idea of elite units. We didn't want the elite units to feel like they're just, oh, this guy's got
So he was
double
more
health,
like the
double
smoker.
damage. We want to make sure the elite units feel like they have different behaviors and have different attacks. So for example, an Omnic Grunt, normally he fires his gun, he dies pretty simply. If you fight elite grunts, his weapon fires in a burst fire pattern. It's very deadly if you're close. And if you manage to take them out, they don't just die right away. They instead can crawl on the ground towards you, and you try to back away.
Oh, nice.
If they get to you, they can explode.
Artillery
That's cool.
at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
We're all
It looks fun for sure.
Yeah, looks like it'll definitely be intense.
One of the things we really
And if it's really got hundreds of missions, then it'd be pretty fun.
We intend for players to shoot these guns off, but currently it's not reading as something that can happen in the game easily.
We change the design, we change the animation, and we go back and forth and just continually iterate.
We decided
It is
hey,
cool
you know
to see
what?
some of their
We're
behind
gonna
the scenes
just delete
stuff.
half of these damage states, so now it's super readable.
From an animation standpoint, we decided on the spinning barrel version. Just did this really nice kickback. The tip of the barrel opens up when it's about to fire and shifts into place, and boom!
It's really amazing to be fighting an artillery unit, and you can see the guns on the side, and as you're shooting the guns, they're actually visibly taking damage, and then you can blow them off, and it reacts and kind of stumbles to the side, and really makes you feel like you're there, and it's super fun.
In a lot of the stuff we've showed so far, you're fighting null sector. These are evil killing machines intent on marching you down. The way you're going to stop them is by shooting them, and we want to make sure that feels responsive and visceral. Really making sure that when they take a hit, it feels like their whole body has been punched, almost like hit by a truck. That's what really sells this fantasy that you're playing these superheroes. One of the cool pieces of technology that we created was what we call chain hit reactions. Oftentimes you'll find null sector bunched up, marching maybe a half a dozen units abreast. You expect if you shoot one, they're gonna knock into their buddies. So we make that happen. Turns out it's really fun too.
Wow.
One of the things that we showed last year at BlizzCon was the new looks for our heroes. The theory kind of going in was like, you want to preserve the essence of your hero, but also kind of show that that heroes evolved and kind of changed and moved forward. So we have a lot more new looks. So I'm excited to see how players and fans react to all of the ones that we've done so far.
Maybe we'll share some of those new looks today, which would be cool.
We're going to reveal McCree's new look for Overwatch 2 as well as Pharah. And we're really excited to show off some of our first villains with Reaper and Widowmaker. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about technical.
Do you want
wear,
to skip
kind of
past this
technical
part?
Clothing.
Oh, I'd like to see 'em.
Using very techie fabrics, as well as having very intricate but functional straps designed in a way that it's very aesthetically pleasing. With McCree, we took a couple of different approaches. He's got this classic cowboy look that it's really hard to mess with because if you try to make
like
it
that, McCree.
too sophisticated or too techy, it might not
I like the
feel
beard.
right for the character. But as a concept artist, you always want to change things around and try different shapes and silhouettes. So we did identify as Red Serape as the main thing for McCree. We also tried a couple different things with McCree's cowboy hat. We didn't really want to mess with that too much because that's a very iconic part of him. So that's another piece that we kept. We tried some retro cowboy looks that mixed in some tech here and there. Some that were a little bit more techy than others, some that were a little bit more classic cowboy. We gave him a little bit of a longer beard, and it really gives him a nice kind of like a more aged look. What's different about Farah than some of our other heroes is Farah's completely covered in armor. We didn't want to change her silhouette too much. It was more about experimenting on different colors. So it felt really appropriate for her to be the one to harken back to those original Overwatch colors of white and blue. One of the things that we wanted to update on Farah was her visor. Instead of being completely opaque and reflective, we tried a little bit more of a transparent approach, and being able to see through it a little bit now allows us to see some more of her emotions. Reaper was actually the ones I was very excited to work on because I could see a lot of potential in how we can integrate his cloak and his cowl and his armor and how we can make all those shapes really sing within that classic, Reaper silhouette. We tried a couple takes with the first pass, like completely silver arms, more layers to his jacket. Reaper's mask is obviously pretty sacred to us, but the thing you'll notice immediately is that it's now completely silver. Instead of the bone white, he's got this like almost like deadly edgy silver. That
Makes
just
me
gives
think
him
of
that
Terminator.
classic Reaper look.
Yeah,
With
he looks
Widowmaker,
good.
we started with the IDA stage, exploring a breadth of ideas. We tried things like a more insectoid approach, treasure hunter. One of them made her feel like a classic Bond villain, so we kind of steered it back towards one of the more cyberpunk looking ones, almost like a futuristic femme fatale, which is basically what Widowmaker is, but she even feels more upgraded. So I'm super glad that we went down this route. We played with different hairstyles too. Widowmaker has the really long ponytail that's really key part of her look. And we really liked the hairstyle on one of the designs that was more of a braid, and it was really interesting look that also preserves Widowmaker's original silhouette with that long ponytail.
We've been working a lot with our domino engine and making our cloth look better. Now that we have this cloth tech, we're going to be able to make some really cool, unique silhouettes that will help them stand out from other heroes. We put a lot of time and effort into our face rig, and what I mean by that is we're gonna be able to get really close to these characters, and it's gonna feel really cool. It is absolutely worth the time and the effort to invest in the technology.
Looks like that's
and that way we
probably
can make these characters do more things that we haven't
probably
really been
for
able to do
cinematics. I
before.
was just about to say, looks
It's
like
been
that's
super
what they
exciting
did that.
work on the new looks for Overwatch 2, and it's just
To do
been
more
so inspiring to
story-driven
watch the
stuff.
team try things that we've never tried before, and I just can't wait to show up more in the future.
Looking good though to me.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 is probably the largest opportunity we've had since the inception of the franchise to really expand what Overwatch even means to our players. In 0 Hour, we saw that some of the heroes got back together, but we're also seeing that there seems to be a second huge Omnic uprising. We're gonna learn who's behind that uprising, why that's happening, how globally spread is it.
The story and franchise development group, they were really the torchbearers of what the big story is that we were going to tell for this game.
We have a lot of interaction with them. They're working on in-game cinematic intros and outros for every one of our story missions.
It's been really great to see this collaboration grow and develop. The story is just a little more integrated into our missions than it ever really has been before. All the available heroes get dialogue for a given mission. We have NPCs, we have multiple hero choices.
We have all sorts of events that are happening that are driving players to interact with each other or parts of the environment or other characters.
That's what I'm loving, is seeing the world look more like reactive.
So how do you take that bright, shiny future and
compared to the
create conflict in
PvP?
it? How dark can the world of Overwatch go?
The different challenges that these characters are going to have to overcome in Overwatch 2 are things that they haven't ever dealt with before or dealt with on this scale. So what we had to do was literally strip it down to those bare bones of where are these characters in their lives. Overwatch has been disbanded, and now there's a situation where the world's in trouble again, and the world needs the heroes again, but they're not allowed to be doing what they were supposed to be doing.
We started to book these off-site locations so we could brainstorm over and over different versions of what the Overwatch 2 story campaign could be.
And we basically had these whiteboards that we were carting around everywhere.
The room was filled with whiteboards, and we would just write every day story beats with the characters and who was doing what.
Okay, can you pause it real quick? Make sure.
We had these giant
I'm not confused.
sticky notes.
Yeah.
So there's the co-op mission thing they talked about, but there is still a campaign game, or am I confused on that?
You know, they didn't really go into detail on. I'm not really 100% sure either.
Like number one, we've played PvP. Is there a campaign?
No, they've just in certain trailers and character stuff. They've
Right, you've learned the lore and the story.
Trailers. Right.
Right.
Or
Okay.
they've had events like they've had one where it's like a chronicle of the past. It's like an archive event, and you actually go back and it's them and them younger selves, and you play through kind of as a co-op event. But it's not
that
as
helps you
detailed
learn
as
the story.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Okay.
But that's been basically it, and then they have like comics that they release on it. Yeah.
Notes, and each one of them would be a mission with a bunch of notes on it. You know, somebody say, well, what if we moved Rio to the end, and they'd physically grab it off the wall and stick it on the end.
And we did this for a while, until we all felt that it was pretty close to what we wanted.
Then we could send it to our writers' rooms. The writers' rooms then had a much clearer direction of where we wanted this process to go.
Ultimately, we come up with something that we think is right for the game, and then we pitch it back to the game team, and they point out everything that we missed.
And that allows us to actually back up and go and make it right and make it better.
Because the scale of this story is so huge, it takes place over the whole world, basically. It just requires a constant iteration, constant refinement to make the story as best as we can make it.
From writing, we go to storyboards. The storyboards get crafted with the edit. From there, it'll go to a previs department where they'll start to flesh it out in 3D. Once we've kind of figured out our camera work and our cinematography, that'll then go to the animation department. And then we end up going right into the game engine.
One of our challenges was to figure out how to integrate this story and this narrative with the gameplay.
So if the intro cinematic ends with this huge battle, this huge war, when you get into the game, it has to mesh and feel the exact same way and blend together.
We really are also trying to get the music to be equally as consistent from in-game cinematics straight through to the mission. Adam Burgess, our lead composer, has been working with the IGC team, with the game team, developing themes for...
I see, it does seem like they're talking about more of a in-game storyline.
As the cinematic director, whatever we're crafting should never override the gameplay. We want to make sure that the player's experience going from the cinematic to the gameplay is seamless and it feels like a completely immersive experience.
The engineers, we have to find a way to actually make that come to fruition. The Choreo tool is a tool that allows people to coordinate different events to happen at the same time. Like in Rio, if you played our demo, one of the buildings explodes. And so that kind of event needs to happen as you're running by, and you need to have it timed, because if it blows up too early, then you
they
don't
need that in
get it.
PvP.
It allows story moments in missions that interact with the environment.
Like whenever Bastion's with his in turret mode, just take out half a building on accident.
Allowing us to take our storytelling farther than we could have previously.
What's also really powerful about Choreo is that, if somebody has an idea, they can mock things up really quickly.
We got to show the Widowmaker making this awesome introduction. And Casey was able to quickly put a really rough prototype in Choreo. And Philip would come in and on the fly, he's making quick changes. They play tested something that would normally take weeks. It was done in like a matter of days.
Each story mission has its own custom map built for it, and these maps are absolutely gigantic.
India is one of our biggest maps.
So this is different. You see what I'm saying?
It has a few story
There's the
beats
mission
that
co-op
take from
thing, and then there's a
comics
story mode
and characters
game.
in the game.
Yeah.
We've written a history for each city so that the cities feel...
So there's like 3
and I think
modes
that
almost,
informs the artists so that
Yeah,
they
and it
know
sounds like
what
this
it
is probably not co-op. You'll play as different characters through the story as you're learning the story. That's my vibe right now.
Step ladders and scalable tables. We designed the space as if we were a tour, Molten steel is pouring out of walls. It's pretty epic when you walk into it. Toronto is under siege by Null Sector when the players arrive here. There's a dynamic snowstorm. So as you make your way through the level, the snow is slowly building up. Suddenly by the end, the characters are caught in this gigantic snowstorm.
Well, I don't know. It still looks co-op.
Yeah.
In Overwatch 2, we want to give you choice to be able to play this character or that character. So we're designing a lot of systems around how their relationships develop over the course of the story missions in the campaign.
We have a cast of many characters, all on screen, all at the same time, and it's fantastic to actually see them all interacting and working together in ways that we've never actually seen. We've always thought about it and hoped for it, but now it's actually happening.
It actually requires us to have a whole new branching dialogue system. If you happen to have Genji and Mercy in the second mission of the game, you might get different dialogue that's about their relationship.
Voice actors bring the characters to life in ways that everybody has fallen in love with, from inside Blizzard to the
So they've made everybody interchangeable then.
Here, this collection of actors all together, all interacting, has been a real treat.
Hammer down!
I wish people could see how many people are involved when it comes to something like telling the story of Overwatch. It doesn't just come from a singular person, it comes from a group, and it's a really talented, fun group that all works together.
We've been developing what we hope is one of the best stories ever.
Did you notice her eyes are kind of cyber,
really
like
excited about?
Yeah,
a little computer chip look to him or something?
We've been talking about the game, about this universe. I know you all love it so much.
Right now, we can sit down and have a night of Overwatch 2 and have it be a really fun experience. And I think we need some more time till we can say it's perfectly polished in the way that we want it.
We've made such incredible strides since we first announced this and showed it to the community at BlizzCon in 2019.
The thing that I'm most excited about is that moment when we hand the game over to the players.
We want to create something that really moves people, really touches people.
That's why we do it. We create the game because we want it to become part of your life and for you to experience it.
I mean, used to, you didn't really
For Overwatch 2,
see announcements
we're upping the bar.
2 years before the game was going to be there.
5 games in one. It's a huge undertaking.
The new tech and the new aesthetics for the new looks bring you closer.
Yeah, so he just said it's about 5 games in
we're just
one.
getting started.
So it's making sense to what we're seeing here.
Experience is much richer.
We are making cinematics that push the boundary of what we can do to tell stories.
We want this dynamic world. We want things to feel alive.
I'm really looking forward to being able to expand the world of Overwatch for our players.
We're really trying to tell this epic story.
In order to make a game great, it takes time, energy, collaboration.
We have just an incredibly
I mean, it makes sense because you've got all these Blizzard guys
engineers
who Blizzard is all about story, right? All their games are deep story, deep lore. And then Overwatch has good story, but it's not anywhere in comparison to these other games.
They haven't got the chance to expand like they want to.
Right. And so they're over there itching like some meth fiends, saying, how do we take Overwatch and leave it Overwatch, but bring in that depth?
That we
You know,
want, yeah.
And I feel like that's what they're talking about here. It's looking good.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Be heroes.
Yeah, I'm pumped for it. I didn't think I would be, you know, from last year's announcement. I wasn't that excited about it. I was just like, oh, they want to do a story mode. But getting to see that and kind of see what they're planning kind of got me more pumped, so to speak. So let's talk, I guess, first. I guess like you were saying, the story mode. I think what they will do, this is my opinion, I think what they're going to do is you go into campaign mode, and you can do it either by yourself or with your friends, right? And I'm thinking you play through the story, and as you go through, you maybe unlock that zone or that city to then go back and level up later with a different
The only
atmosphere.
reason I thought that it was something different is because when they were talking about those missions earlier, it looked a lot like normal missions. Like it had like the vehicle moving through or different things like that. And he described mostly the same maps with the few areas expanded. And then when he described the maps in the campaign, he described huge,
Cities.
all new maps for each mission.
Yeah, yeah.
So that makes me think they're two different things.
Well, do you think your character progression will stay the same though with those talents and stuff?
Yes. Yeah, because he said he thinks that people will be using this co-op deal, the mission play, to build their characters, which I think will overlap with
Go into your story.
Yeah, the story. Yeah. That's
Okay.
my guess, but I'm not sure.
You could be right. They're doing a lot of work though.
Because when he said that, it didn't make sense. Because he said they're going to be using this to build their characters. Well, of course. I mean,
We're gonna be
if that's all there is.
Yeah.
And you're not going to use it in PvP. So why else would you be using it to build your characters unless it's for this campaign mode?
So do we think story mode could become very challenging?
Right.
Like, to where it's
That's
like
what
you're
I'm
going to
thinking,
have to
kinda.
level up? Or you're not going to get through it?
Like maybe you play through a certain part of the story, then you realize this part's too tough. My character's not tough enough. You go over, you play some of these quick mission deals, build your
Level
guy,
up.
mess with your tree, bring him back in, try the campaign again.
Are they going to
Which
do
is
hard?
interesting if that's what they're doing.
Are they going to do like hard mode, kind of like they did with games like Left 4 Dead and things like that?
Oh yeah, like an extreme mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, to give it replayability, they do it in Diablo,
Mm-hmm.
so they could definitely.
Well, I mean, if
go
you
with
look
this.
at some of the other things they're doing in the game,
It's got to
it
be.
looks like they took some hints from Left 4 Dead.
Uh huh.
It's just a whole other genre.
Yeah. So this looks. I'm pretty impressed with it.
Look good.
Last year when I saw the announcement, the graphics weren't really wooing me. I almost felt like, okay, they're going backwards a little bit with looking a little more cartoony, or I shouldn't say cartoony, like clay, kind of like a more clay look.
That might have just been because they were in
Too
development.
early, yeah. Because on this, some of those characters looked
Great.
a lot better, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell with the characters like Reinhardt, Tracer, kind of the
Some of their
bone
actual
structure.
live gameplay videos looked horrible. Like it was grainy and stuff like that, but they're
Mhm.
probably playing it turned way down so they can check the mechanics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I noticed some of them, they didn't even have maps loaded yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might be playing around, but it's, over here's a gray
Right.
box or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's so they can adjust something and then try it out and then adjust something, try it out, and it's not at full specs.
Yeah. So I feel like this was Overwatch's way of saying, hey guys, or their way of saying, hey guys, we don't really have anything this year, but we are working on it and here's some progress. Like, give us a chance.
And I think they were going, the things you thought weren't good, it's not what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're changing those things. There is a big difference. 'Cause the chatter on the game, not just from us, is so what they added some co-op campaigns.
Right.
I mean, that's slightly that's been the vibe from some people.
Yeah.
So.
I know I kind of came out that way a little
Mhm.
bit of like, okay, you got to justify it if I'm going to pay all that money to play your Overwatch 2.
Oh, I'm gonna buy it. Just by watching that preview.
Yeah, the replayability, you can tell is there. So that plus I still get to do the PvP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in. But yeah, there is a part of me that's I don't know if they would do it, but okay, you don't have to let us play talents in the regular competitive mode. I'm fine with that. I get it. But because
maybe just a certain mode where you can.
Yeah, because they have arcade mode where they do like gravity, no gravity mode, and all that different type of stuff. Rotate in a little talents, all talents available or something,
Yep. Characters available, pre-built or whatever.
Yep.
That'd be sweet.
That would be, yeah. So, I like it. So far. So, Blizzconline, it was different. One of the big things that I noticed right off the bat, which you probably noticed, there's no cheering.
Yeah, it makes it weird a little bit.
The live crowd takes away some of that excitement. I'm used to hearing the fans getting nuts about it. So you're kind of like,
It almost seemed like it was a lot harder for the speakers.
oh yeah,
Like they were sitting there kind of struggling, speaking on a
Yeah.
huge stage to an empty room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But overall, I think it was a pretty good BlizzCon. I think think they did the best they could with what they had.
Agreed.
But one thing I did notice, and this is just, I'm a little bit more diehard fan, I kept thinking, man, something's different. And it's not the fact that there's not people there. I was like, and they still have some of these things. Like the community contest was okay, but it still wasn't that great. Like I didn't really enjoy the costume contest. The whole fun part of that was watching people actually walk out, and this year they didn't,
Right.
So, but that's fine. But I kept thinking, what's the deal? What's wrong? And then I realized there was no live competition. Every year they do the 3v3 arenas for Warcraft, and then they have the Overwatch League Championship,
right?
And then they usually do. I think they even do Hearthstone competition, like one of the championships there. So a lot.
So there's a lot of hype behind all that.
Yeah, I think the only esports they had at this event that I saw was the Overwatch League, and that's about it. So, yeah, definitely different. But yeah, what did you think as someone that's doesn't play Blizzard games all the time?
Well, I thought the announcements were decent. I thought they were pretty normal. Nothing groundbreaking. I think because of the games that I play, the Overwatch thing is the most interesting, but it's not really groundbreaking either because it was announced last year. So it's kind of, if I had known more about Overwatch ahead of time, the new one, then this would probably have not been as impressive either, as impressive.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was decent, but if you combine the fact that it was decent with no amazing news, with the fact that it was online and kind of less hyped, yeah, wasn't the best event.
Yeah.
But I think, what can they do about that?
Yeah, you can't do much. Yeah, there just wasn't like the big game announcement. I think if they would have came out and said, "Here's a new StarCraft game," I'm not a big StarCraft player, but in general, it's like, oh man, So
yeah, I mean, I think that even though the WoW thing wasn't an expansion, it was a good chunk of an add-on to the story and change to gameplay. So that one was pretty big to me.
Yeah, the burner,
which may be normal if you're a WoW player, but for a normal game, that seemed like a pretty big add-on.
Which one? The
just the whole new story that's continuing. The king went up there and attacked, and now you're going to be going down and be able to play out the whole area without just being there for a little bit, right? It's essentially a whole new realm.
Yeah.
And he said that it's what do they call it? It's not called the Alliance. What are all the groups called?
Covenants.
The fact that all the covenants are coming back together, right? That seems like a pretty big change to the game. So from an outsider looking at it, seemed like some pretty big changes and new story added to what was there.
Yeah.
And to me, I like that.
Yeah. Story-wise, they've been knocking it out of the park with WoW. I think even with gameplay, they're doing things right. So I've been pretty happy. I feel like, and this is just a theory as far as what other game companies could do with their games that are older. And like I said, WoW's kind of different because it's one of those, it's been around for years now,
Right.
So I guess it's treated a little bit different, but I like the classic server idea because it then gives the company the opportunity to go ahead and change things with the current game without worrying too much about
it's
messing
brilliant.
up the old,
You can't get mad because we literally gave you back the original.
Yep.
And now if they're going to release each stage, then they're going to just please everybody.
Right. I mean, they literally could, and I know they won't do it because it's such a big undertaking. They could literally come out and say, "Here's WoW 2. We're going to revamp the entire game, and then here's all your classic servers."
Right.
I mean, they could literally do that, and it would be okay because it's like, okay.
Yep, they've broken themselves free of that.
Yeah. So I think that's a smart business choice. Definitely cashing in on their old IPs, though. Bringing back Diablo 2. Hey, here's some arcade games to throw in there for you guys. So I think that's pretty smart as well. But nothing in BlizzCon was a big surprise this year. Let's put it that way. pretty much
Yeah, it
everything
didn't
I
seem
saw
that way.
was pretty much about what I expected. And from what I've
Mhm.
heard is Diablo 2 was leaked. So they
Mm.
already kind of knew about that. And Burning Crusade, I kind of already figured. They're just, whenever Classic did so well in the beginning,
Mhm.
I just had this hunch. I was just like, I think they're going to do Classic servers of each expansion, you know?
Right.
At least up to Wrath of the Lich King or maybe Cataclysm. So, anywho, that's BlizzConline, guys. We hope you enjoyed listening in. You might not get all of it in the audio deal because I'm going to go back and listen for any dead spots because some of that you're not going to want to listen to.
Right.
You know, certain
different
aspects.
Different kind of
So-
podcast from our normal. We do
Mhm.
one like this every once in a while.
Yep. But overall, it was good. Next week, guys, we're going to be hitting you with gaming news. We're going to talk about Valheim.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Ryan? We're talking
Yeah.
about it. We're getting into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Hunter or not, I say.
Yeah. Hey, if you can't make it next week, that's his own fault. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to be bringing you the freebie farm because we're going to be going into March.
New month. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Here in Oklahoma, it's like last week this time it's -7. Now it's 70. You know.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm hot
to
upstairs.
Oklahoma. Yep. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, you can go to Patreon and help us out there if you'd like. Donate.
Yes.
There are going to be some changes coming to the podcast, but we don't want to announce anything just yet because we still need to discuss with Hunter and get that stuff together. But we will let you know on some changes that are coming. Anything else, Ryan, that you wanted to mention?
Not that I can think of. I know we've mentioned it numerous times before, but along with the changes that'll be coming soon, merch will be one of those things, and promotional stuff. We're going to hook you guys up with some stuff just for helping us out, being fans, giving reviews, things like that. And so, yeah, we're definitely excited about some things we're doing.
Yep. So, yeah, we got that going on, and we just hope you guys have a great week. So with that said,
stay delirious.
Stay dadding.
And stay gaming.
Yeah, baby. This has been a Delirious Dads production. For more information about the show, visit our website at www.deliriousdadsgaming.com. You can also find us on facebook.com/deliriousdadsgaming, twitch.tv, and YouTube. Make sure you like and share our pages to help us grow the channel. You can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. Please leave a rating and review if you enjoy the show. Thank you again for listening, and we hope to see you next time.